everybody, and welcome back to another Ancient Yeddo 12 FPS. It's gonna be very difficult to remember to say that. Uh, my name is Avi. I am the DM of the Ancient Yeddo campaign, and with me today is my wonderful, dearest friend. I don't know why I said it like that. Who I adore so very much.
Hi. Hello, it's me. I am noodle or pasta or udon or whichever variation thereof y'all are feeling like today. And I am one of the players for this absolutely wonderful and amazing and super creative DM who I am
Ah,
so proud to call my friend.
ah,
Haha.
you do this.
And
You do
I
this to
do
me,
this to the
Avi.
you. I do this to the Avi. Because the Avi gets to deal with my stinky bastard wizard.
What's his name?
His name is Aurelio. Oh, well, full name. Let's go. Full name here. Lord Scholar Aurelio Rimebrand. It's no one says his title, and he's dealing. He's fine. He's
Alright.
fine. Yes. Well, he's probably less fine than usual considering the events at the end of the last session, but he is ignoring whatever he saw there. We're gonna go with that.
Speaking of the last session, as a bit of like a recap, y'all did
Mhm.
manage to make it to the end of the cavern. You found Kita's comb,
Yes.
among other things, like other items. Y'all also,
We found a cool mirror.
you did find a cool mirror that, well, it reflected you, but not you.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It reflected a face he hasn't seen in a very long time, and would rather, have not seen again, but it's fine. He is completely normal about this.
It's, I believe it is the day after y'all managed to get out.
Yeah, probably. Let
After.
him have some time to rest.
Mm-hmm. How is Aurelia doing now?
Uh, well, he has had time to get himself more in order after going through a dungeon and dealing with the heckling of one Hibiki. Um, the rest of the party, okay, he got called evil and is like, ugh, whatever. Okay, sure, that's what we're dealing with here. Um, so he's trying to figure out where to go now because he needs to continue his research. Uh, and he was hoping he would find a lead in that cavern, but it's not. Nothing's really coming up, though. There was one lead that he found yesterday, early yesterday, or a bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna follow that one last lead to the doctor that he heard about because if he doesn't find anything here, he's got no reason to stick around this town. He has more important things to do than help children and be heckled by people.
Hmm.
He has opinions of people, but he's keeping those to himself.
Interesting. Yeah. If you're looking for this certain doctor's house, would you like to roll me? Let's go with survival.
Survival, you say? Does he have? Oh, he does have a little bit in that. Hey, Abby.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Abby.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling we're gonna be having one of these sessions.
Oh boy. That's a nat
Yeah.
20. That actually makes
Yeah.
it makes sense because I'm going to be honest, Dr. Iroha's house is very easy to spot. Um it is a it's even though it still feels a little bit humble,
Mhm.
especially within this village, it is still, I guess you could say, a nobleman's house. It is still a doctor's house. Um,
Mhm.
uh, Not only that, I can't remember exactly what Iroha is derivative of. However, his theming is red.
Hmm. Yeah, that probably sticks out a little bit.
His there is like a red, I guess you could say, strip of fabric that's kind of like tied around like the the length of his house, like directly around the below the roof.
Hmm.
um so you have like the little bit of a slanted roof, and then
Hmm.
the little ribbon is like the rest of the house. um and there is also a sign indicating that this is Dr. Iroha's house.
Yeah, the sign probably, if nothing else, helps a lot. Uh, and Aurelio does go there, which at once, how well do you do? I'm just gonna roll a thing. That's a 10. Great. Uh,
Oop.
he's more used to how things work in Yeddo. He's picking up on things. Um, However, he still has pause. He's just out of habit of when he's in front of a door. Um, and he pauses just a few seconds, like he expects something to happen, and then kind of pulls a face when, oh, yeah, right, that doesn't happen here. Shit. Uh, he's used to stuff. Um, Before he figures he should knock? Yes, probably. This is fuck. He's dealt with more academics. Yeah, fuck it. We're gonna knock on the door. Um, Before seeing, just yeah, knocking and listening to see if there's anyone inside.
uh to give a better description of specifically the front door of Dr. Iroha's
Hmm.
house, it is again Yiddish styled. So it's
Hmm.
less of a door and more of like a panel that could slide back and forth. Um
Yeah, he's like found the frame and kind of
yeah,
along the frame.
just
I don't know if that sound picked up, but I did noises. Yes.
yes, okay. Um very distinctly you can hear a distant grumbling of a masculine voice. He's just going, uh, who is it? As you hear footsteps come over, and I actually have to find his ref. Um, the door opens.
I love him.
I'm so
Sorry.
I'm so glad I can finally share this image. Um, uh, Standing oh, the door, the paneling opens, slides open, and standing there, you kind you kind of like look straight ahead, and then you look down because this is a dwarf man. um
Huh.
with an impressive red beard that's like just fully grown on his face and kind of like tied into bunches along his chin, and like he's got fiery red hair, um, and like it's tied back in a sort of bun, but his outfit is probably one of the most casual outfits you have seen while in Yeddo.
Yeah. Huh. Funny enough, it's ironically seems a little bit close to the clothes that Aurelio himself was given by the gracious people who
Mm-hmm.
lent him stuff. Though now he has that cloak, which he has tried so very hard to wrap around his shoulders like he's familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably a little bit out of place. Um, and he straightens up quickly, um, trying to hide the fact that he was like, "What am I doing here?" Um, and clears his throat. Ah, uh, Doctor Iroha, I believe.
In the flesh. And who are you?
There's a pause, and it's like, just, do you want the full name, or are you gonna shorten it like everyone around here?
That depends. What ails you?
He, oh boy, he opens his mouth to say something, and then thinks better of it. Uh, he's, I mean, for one, Iroha can tell just from a glance this guy is stressed, um, and seems to be frustrated by a great many things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's just saying, just surface level, but he is. I was hoping to speak with a fellow scholar, not really doctor and patient.
Hmm. Interesting. And I think what he's going to do is he pulls the paneling a bit more open. I forgot to say, he's got like these little, like, I guess you could say porcelain pots just kind of hanging at his, like, it's not a belt. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot the proper word for it. Um,
Sash.
but like the like little strap that's like across his torso. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a bunch of those just hanging there. Um, they're like little porcelain jars. Um, but he does open the paneling a bit further out, and like steps to the side, and he says, "Come in. I can tell by your voice you are a foreigner. Leave your shoes by the door."
I and he'll step inside and leave the shoes by the door. Like he's gotten used to seeing
Mm-hmm.
how much that much he's familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll step inside and like adjust his cloak a little bit better, so it's not so set like it would be for the against the elements. And looks around.
It's again a very humble looking place. Like you would not expect a nobleman to live in this house because of how, I guess you could say, simple it
Mm,
is. Like of course you got your like different like scrolls, you got like different books, you've got different things lining the walls, and like there's just a bunch of these crates of what you recognize are probably like different materials that a doctor would have, things
hmm
for brewing medicine. And
hmm
in the back corner, uh there is like a pot, like this massive pot, um that you can presume that this is where he does the actual like medicinal like brewing. There's a
hmm
table against the wall next to it that is just overflowing with scraps of these papers that are like that have like handwritten ink on it, and a lot of what he's written down has been scratched out and written over.
Ah, that's familiar.
Um, you also see a set of stairs that leads up to the what you assume is an attic, but the door
Mhm.
is closed off right now. Um, and there is a little place to sit down. A little like one of those like low to the ground tables. Um, and
Mhm.
I think what he's going to do first um, is you actually see him pick up one of like these porcelain jars off of the table and like dumps the contents out. And you see that if oh sorry there was a fly. Ugh.
Mhm.
You see him dump the contents out into a pile of what you presume to be trash. Um,
Yeah.
Presumably a failed attempt at something.
hmm You gotta roll him again. Let's roll another thing because he is so wow, Jiminy Cricket dice. That is +5. Um, Aurelio, that's a deception if you wanted to roll insight.
This man
Um,
has no stats, but I can definitely try.
that's fair.
That's a 5.
Yep. Aurelio successfully keeps a poker face when he is so tempted to just that's not lab safety. That's not you don't think you have to proper procedure. Okay. All right. Okay. Yep. Sure. Okay.
Like,
He's
there's like literally nothing left of it that could
mhm,
like be of any use.
he still like just keeps an eye on that out of like in his peripheral. He's like, if anything happens, I'm watching. I've seen this.
You know what? Fair on him.
It's like for lab safety.
Dr. Iroha is a piece of work in more ways than one.
hmm Aurelio's quickly discovering this.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. But he gestures for you to take a seat at the table. There's like a what looks to be a pretty plush looking cushion um, where you can sit.
Yeah, and Aurelio will sit down. As well, primly. That's the best way to put it. He is very controlled in how he's moving, and carefully pulls out his normal spell book, his notebook. It's all in the same thing, um, with the
Thank you for
quill, and
this.
just yeah, and just sets it on on the table.
Uh,
Uh, looked away from the gallery. Shh, he's getting away with it. Shh.
um, the Dr. Iroha, in the meantime, gathers like some of the loose pieces of paper and like a bottle of ink and a pen or a brush and like brings it with him to the table and sits down and he says, "What did you say your name was?"
Lord Scholar Aurelio Rimebrand.
Hmm, quite the lofty title. And what does that mean?
It means I've earned my place among the other scholars of my homeland and would like to have it respected, though not many here do.
Probably because you're not of this land.
So it would seem. Not much respect for people outside of the locals here.
There is a difference between expecting respect and earning it, you know.
Oh, I know plenty well. I just, you know, haven't been fucking around with people like half the. Oh, he cuts himself off and just heaves a very long sigh. I lost myself. Forgive me. I've had a bit of a time here. But I'm not here to talk about that. That's irrelevant data. Of course, if you're actually willing to talk and you're not just here to lecture me on respect and all that. I've heard enough of that from plenty of tutors.
I see how well it did them.
Well, the ones who stuck around, they earned it. The ones who didn't, you know
He's
what happens. Go on.
he gives you a look. This is definitely an older gentleman. Again, he is a dwarf.
Hmm.
He has seen his fair share of people like Aurelio.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think what he ends up saying is, I'll give you the lecture later. What is it you wanted to ask?
Well, doctor, my studies and your business happen to fall in line. You could quantify it as trying to find a way to preserve life. Um, well, I was supposed to be on a journey off to another site where there had been promising excavations found, but my ship went down in the storm. Now I'm here and trying to make the best of it, though I haven't found much that's even close to relevant.
Hmm. Sorry, he handed me like several things at once. I'm gonna try and
Mhm.
parse my way through
Mhm.
everything he's handing me. I
Mhm.
guess first things first. You see him set like the loose pieces of paper down, um, on the on the table, on top of the table. If you want, you can roll perception and like snoop a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
My God, I need to like put this dice down. What the fuck? That's an 18 on the dice as I find his perception modifier. Okay, good. That's not one of his stats. That's a dirty 20.
okay, okay, I can give you this with a dirty 20.
Mhm.
I'm assuming Aurelia at least knows how to read, at bare minimum, Yiddish.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, he can read all writing actually because of his
Warlock
Eyes of the
feature.
Runekeeper.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Um, in that case, what I can tell you is that it's the first thing you see is a list of symptoms.
Hmm.
Um, it is a list of symptoms that looks incredibly concerning. Um,
Hmm.
um, and like right next to like each of these symptoms is like different like herbal remedies or treatments for it. Um,
Hmm.
for each of these symptoms, and like another one of these loose pieces of paper is a combination of these like little different remedies trying to make a single solid a singular solid medication to treat the
Mm-hmm.
entire, like, whatever the cause of this is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you see, like, different formulas where, like, he's written something down and then he had to scratch, like, one of the ingredients out because it just didn't
Mm-hmm.
work. And then, like, you see the same sort of set of ingredients, except several of them have been swapped out with different ones. And then some of those are scratched out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you see on another page is like a list of notes to self. Like, I guess you could say, I suppose results. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how well that the medicine he's made has been working, but there is always a note of something needs to be better, something needs to be done differently. It's not perfect because the condition isn't going away, whatever this is, and whoever it is.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, he definitely takes note of that for several reasons. Ah.
um, I think what he ends up saying is, I suppose it depends on what you're trying to preserve life from, but if it is a matter of illness, I happen to be quite the expert on that.
Illness is one of the problems that I would like to not resolve, I suppose. But that's the closest term. No, I suppose if that last and he snaps his fingers a bit trying to recall. The one what's her name? She came all dressed in pink at Harumi.
Oh, Yasuoko-san.
Yamaoka. Yeah. Her. Apparently you all here at least have a knowledge of where I'm from. Somewhat. I would think a doctor would be able to recognize at least a little bit of why someone from a plague-torn kingdom would want to avoid a repeat.
Certainly.
Much as it's contained nowadays, there's nothing stopping it from coming back.
Well, yes, diseases are, in a way, changing all the time. But it's always good to keep the medication on hand that you already have and make modifications as needed.
He nods, and it seems like, yeah, that seems familiar advice. Uh, See, there's sense in it, but the problem is there's a lot of big egos over there who don't quite take it as seriously. So if you have anything, a lead or something that could help direct, I'd greatly appreciate it.
And what is this plague exactly?
Well, it's mostly wiped out. Well, he I need to roll history to see what he can remember of it. It's a 15. Um, he's able to list off several symptoms. Um, namely that, for one, for anyone who's heard of the Kingdom of Seven Seals, particularly in a medical context, um, the plague moved quickly and it killed fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and though he lists off what he knows, um, it's with a very clinical detachment, like he's listing off um, things he's read from reports and journals. And can I have Iroha make an insight check?
Sure. And that's a flat d20 because he has no stats.
Yeah.
That's a 12.
Well, yeah. Um, for one, uh, the way this guy is talking about it, there's, like I said, there's a detachment. Like it's not firsthand, but it seems more than that. You can't quite pin it down with a 12, but it seems like he is like completely detached while talking about this. Even though it happened in where he lived.
Mm.
It's he talks about it like it's separate from him. So that sort of thing. There's ways to stall it, to treat it now, but no way to completely prevent someone from falling victim to something like that.
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out how he words this.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because I myself am not a doctor, especially not familiar with medicine in this time period. I think what he's going to
That's
say.
fair.
I think what he's going to
Mm-hmm.
say is, unfortunately, it is very difficult to come up with a preventative solution without knowing how it is contracted or what the God, what's the term, vector?
Yeah.
Uh,
What the vectors for contagion
what
are.
the
Yes.
vectors of contagion is. Um, a lot of the medicine I can devise is in the moment treatments for symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what I was afraid to hear. Well, that's another dead end. I appreciate your time for it, but
How old are you, son?
eh, uh, how's that any relevance to the present?
It does, because it calls into question your reason for looking into this.
I'm 23.
23, and you said you were a scholar?
Aye.
And are you doing this for the pursuit of science? Or because you actually want to help the people of your homeland?
He pauses for a minute as he thinks, and kind of shifts a bit as he drums his fingers along the cover of his journal, his spell book. I'm doing this. I suppose for science, for people in equal measure. Sure, there's plenty of ways to do what I'd like to do. A lot of my colleagues said the problem was already solved, but it's not enough. They're not going far enough. So once I solve it, once I figure it out and perfect it, then it's gone far enough. And then I suppose that it could help others. Could make things better for everyone.
He kind of gives you this kind of deep and solemn look, and he says, for quite the noble idea, you have. How should I say this? You are quite headstrong.
Aye. Not the first time I've heard it.
And for good reason. Because the lack of. How you say. He kind of like waves a hand and he says, actually, what he ends up doing is he leans forward against a table, like one arm, like on top of it, and he looks at you and he says, you are not a medicinal doctor. But it takes a doctor to know that in order to pursue something like this, there has to be genuine care, not detachment.
So you figured that out real quick.
You are not the first young man that I've had to tutor on this subject.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you, it's not for glory that I'm doing this. Honestly, my colleagues would have said that all my studies are going to waste, that my vision isn't grand enough. So, Doctor, of the people I know, I'm the one with more care than a lot of others.
And is that why you've been having such a hard time in Yeddo?
I'm having a hard time here because no one takes me seriously.
Perhaps it's because of that reason specifically. Because you do not share such things with them. That you do not. Sorry, I don't know why he said that specifically. Hang on.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do not. You are in a place where your title has no meaning, and yet you still demand respect of them. You demand respect for, in their eyes, no reason in particular. Certainly you have studied, but studying means nothing if you treat them as though they are beneath you.
He huffs and just, I wouldn't treat them that way if they didn't go poking about in my things, if they weren't a bunch of brutes who go and hassle me when stuck surrounded by danger and get called a coward
Have you
for
ever
not.
explained your studies to them?
Nobody asked. It's not exactly like Oh, yeah, sure. I'll go talking about my studies with everyone around. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, with the
Because
people you are exploring with? Let me ask you this, Rimebrand-san. How long have you been in a library? In an office in which you study? How long has it been since before you actually left your country and connected with another human? Another person?
he looks away and does not answer.
Hmm.
He is like stiff backed, is not pleased with that question.
Your reaction is answer enough. I will tell you this, Rimebrand-san. Yeddo is far more connected than what you might think. There is this sense of community with each other. If you do not give a bit of yourself, you will not get a bit of them back. If you do not give respect, you will not get respect. If you do not, how you say, share what your skills are, they will assume you are skillless.
Doctor, with all due respect, I can't allow myself to get attached because attachments cause issues.
Such
The
as?
problem, you can't get attached when everyone you know is going to die. It's pretty common. It happens. I mean,
What a
lab
sad
accidents.
excuse that is.
There's no reason to get attached when everything's going to fade eventually.
What a sad way to look on your life. Do you not think that life is not worth living in the moment? Do you not think that there are things worth doing right now with the people around you? Oh, no. Excuse me, you have not connected with any other person for years, apparently.
I'll have time for it when I have my studies finished.
And you cannot finish your studies without the help of others, especially as something so grand as this.
I have
It
plenty of
takes
time after.
it takes more than one person to assist in a lab. You should know this.
I I do. He's just looks grumpy. Like, you have a point.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what he says next, but like I keep reading the gallery.
Yeah.
um you see him like set like one of the papers aside, and he says, if you want to try and find something that is outside the capital, I would recommend you go to Sonomaru. But the trip there is not one to make on your own.
Of course it's not.
What was that?
He said, of course it's not.
And if you want to be able to work with individuals, you must be willing to work with them. To ask, what do you need, and not, what do I need? Because that is how you finally leave your laboratory.
Oh, delightful.
Oh?
Um, Considering this adds up to less than 10, I figure that would pass a passive.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
hey, Iroha,
mm-hmm.
he's trying to be serious and is frustrated by all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also able to pick up on something else because you could figure out from his answer or lack thereof of an answer of the last time, he made a human connection
Mm-hmm.
or, well, a connection to any other person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his silence is not totally because he's listening or because he's at a loss for an answer. He looks genuinely lost on this topic. Like, this is someone who has no genuine idea of how to connect with another person. And it's not like arrogance, it's not like he's looking down on the idea. It seems like he is genuinely confused with this and is trying to figure out how he could do that and like trying to puzzle it out.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. And you keep insisting this, and it's like you've put a puzzle box in front of him and he is trying to figure it out. That something is genuinely not clicking. So that's a nat one. So hands y'all that.
Oh my goodness. I am so glad. Unfortunate it's with a certain NPC and not with the proper party.
They can figure it out later.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna just chill when surrounded by danger and people who heckle him? No, he's gonna double down. He's so normal.
I think what he ends up doing is that he actually gives out let out a exasperated sigh, and he's just all right. So you genuinely don't know what you're doing in this situation, do you?
Uh, well, no. I don't. I'm a little more used to a shared goal, uh, driving people to cooperate and being focused on other things. It doesn't really leave much time for much else.
Well, if you're traveling to Sonamara, you'll have more than enough time to actually learn how to speak with someone, or at least put some ideas into practice. You don't have to tell everything about yourself right away, you know.
I know, and I can talk. I've done plenty of talking around those people.
Around them,
And
but
they're
not with. Hmm?
it's not like it's easy to talk to people.
Oh no, nobody said that. And there are some tips, you know.
Mm,
It's okay to
I'm not
ask
a
for help.
child.
You're not a child, but you seem to be acting like one.
I never had to deal with people outside of my studies. I'm not the son who has to go to all the meetings. It's not my purpose. I don't have to fuss with that. And it's not like anyone really, wanted to talk to me unless I'm busy with stuff like my colleagues. So, and the people here, mm,
Now that's
stars preserve me.
well,
No,
that's
the villagers are fine. They're decent people that helped me plenty, but
let's start with this then. Do you know how to ask for help?
I
Do you know how to put that into practice?
eh? What do you mean? You just say, "Hey, can you help me?" And you with Insta task or whatever. It's not like it's hard. I mean, I'm pretty sure I came in here saying, can I have, well, I didn't exactly say it out loud. I came here asking for help. That is the
It was less of a
idea.
it was less of a question though.
Ah, that that stops him. He's like, oh, uh, my apologies on that.
Sorry. Um that response plus a thought I just had. Out of curiosity, is Aurelio still wearing the fold of his top wrong?
um, probably he he's tried, like, there's days where he can, but more often than not it's backwards. Yeah, he's not used to this.
That's understandable.
Yeah, this
Like,
is yeah. He looks uncomfortable in the clothes. He still looks uncomfortable in the clothes.
uh, we're gonna say that for later. Luckily for him, Aurelio, not Aurelio, Iroha understands that he's a
Mhm.
foreigner and is not used to these clothes.
Mhm.
But we'll get to that eventually. Eddie says, I think Iroha is going to say, I have a book on that shelf up there. It's a bit high for me to reach it. Do you think you could bring it down for me?
uh, I and he'll get up uh and go to the shelf that is pointed out and go grab the book from it.
And Iroha takes it and he says, now you give it a try.
He just blinks like, what? Uh-huh.
I just asked for your help.
What do you mean? I'm there's a few seconds of silence, and then it's just he normally just looks so icy, like his name, and Iroha, you see that melt into just like petulant young person as he figures out what you did, and it's just the stubborn of like, are you serious? Look.
He very much is, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, why are we doing this? That's not, I'm not a kid. I'm not like 3. This is the sort of thing you tell to someone who's like 3 and doesn't know manners. I know manners. I
Why
know.
don't you?
Mm-mm.
You say you're not a child, but again, you are acting quite like one. Especially a child that won't take their medicine.
There's a difference between medicine and being talked down to.
I'm not talking down to you. I am trying to tell you a skill, to teach you a skill that you need in order to live. You are being rather stubborn by insisting that you don't need to ask for help like this, to pose a question rather than demand. Which, by the way, is something that a child would do.
All right, you proved your point.
And he makes a gesture with his hand to like get you to do the thing.
He just like pinches the bridge of his nose and takes a deep breath. Dr. Iroha, would you kindly help me by explaining what is going on in that jar of yours back there? That seems to be some sort of mixer or container for some purpose. Please.
And he claps his hands and he says, "Excellent. You can work on the tone later, but absolutely excellent." And he's going to stand up and gestures for you to follow. Um, as he makes his way to, was it to the cauldron specifically or one of the jars?
Nah, the cauldron.
Okay. It's
Mhm,
a it's a mixing pot. I say cauldron, it's really just a mixing pot. Um
mhm,
there's no fire in it, but you can like under it there's no fire that's lit yet. Um and he is showing you how it's supposed to work. There's supposed to be like some form of like liquid in there, like perhaps a water, something as a base,
mhm.
and like some. And he shows you like the different ingredients he has, and some different like what they're used for, basically. Like this is for
Mhm,
headaches. This is for an upset stomach. Some menial things like that. Um,
mhm.
but he's giving Aurelio more than enough chances to start asking questions to learn more, so that he can
Yeah,
actually converse.
yeah. And I think Iroha notices um the moment it's not like interpersonal, like I need help. It's like once they're over there and starting to explain stuff, once Aurelio has like had his notebook, like it's he gestures for it to open where it's still left on the table, and that quill floats up and starts writing. Um, and he's fascinated by what he sees. It's like an instant change where he just starts asking questions and like, what does this do? If you combine this with this, would this lead to this solution? Oh, so if you have this, then what's this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very different.
There's probably like a couple of like different like herbal remedies you didn't have in your homeland.
Hmm.
Things that are native to Yeddo. Um,
Hmm.
um, but like as he is giving you like these descriptions and as you're writing down uh, these different things, you're also like matching some of these like different ingredients to stuff that he has written down in
Hmm.
those notes you saw. The notes are still over on the table, by the way. um,
Hmm.
but he at some point he pauses as he's like watching you like look over these things, puzzling
Hmm.
over them or whatever Aurelio is doing. Um,
Hmm.
um, and he says, "It's not easy to speak with someone, but once you have a launching point like that, it can be. We just had an
And
int-
yeah.
we just had
No,
an
go on.
entire conversation on this subject because you managed to ask me something, and I was giving you the answers."
Is it probably takes a second for it to sink in because he's looking at things and like half mumbling to himself as he's dictating these notes to be taken in his journal. Um, but once it does, he like it's probably a bit comical
Mm-hmm.
as he stops and realizes as it fully sinks in, and he's like, "Oh, oh, that's how it works."
Mm-hmm. Do not get me wrong, though. It goes the other way as well.
Ah, all right. You had a point.
I'm glad I could help you.
I I appreciate it.
Mm. Keep
And
trying. Oh, continue.
uh, and the direction towards Donamaru, I believe it was.
Mm. Keep trying. Just whatever you do, don't let yourself get discouraged. It's like experimenting.
I well, if everything goes according to plan, I'll have plenty of time to keep trying to
Mm.
figure this out.
This
Yeah.
FPS really did turn into how to have a conversation 101.
Yeah. Yeah. And he just he does settle from it and like makes a gesture and his book flies to his hand. The quill, instead of coming with, actually dissipates into like frost that quickly melts and evaporates. Um, and he flips over the notes that have been added, um, which, for what can be seen, they all seem to be taken in red ink. Uh, probably. Hmm. Like it's organization and important keys. Uh, um, but for one, it's all written in common,
Hmm.
unlike the rest of the script, which is probably very illegible.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, Dr. Aroha is not going to judge. He's a doctor.
yeah,
Stereotypical doctor handwriting.
it's less that. It's you could Iroha might think it's that. It's not. It's definitely a different script, a different language
Yeah,
from
that's
common.
fair.
Hmm. Like it seems like it at first, and then you look between the two, and it's like, oh, hang on. No, wait, the handwriting's the same. It's just different scripts. Got it. Uh, um, which he then closes and um looks to the doctor and then does make a formal like bow to him.
He gives you one in return, which is probably as a close sign of respect as you've gotten in the past 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the only sign of respect. Well, second sign of respect. They, from completing the quest, they did get a bow, and he's figured that out very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, got it.
Um, I think he is going to finally say this because the thought occurred to me, and I think it's really funny.
Mhm.
And he is going to say, not on the subject of conversation, but I sincerely hope someone has informed you that you are wearing your clothing wrong.
Yeah, I. It's been mentioned a time or two. The problem is if I tie it the other way, it falls obscenely open. And he's like rubbing the back of his neck as he says this, and like his face is kind of red.
I think you might need to find better fitting clothing.
Not exactly. Well, I did come into money. I would like to uh figure out something that'll work. I'm not exactly used to these clothes, though that's probably pretty obvious.
No, certainly. Do you know why we fold the clothing that way, though?
Uh, does it have to do with why the kids keep whispering about me being a ghost? They're not exactly sneaky.
We dress the dead the other way around, with the fold the other way around. It is a sign, a part of the process for our funerary practices. You show respect for the dead in some manner.
Well, that's ironic. I'll get it sorted.
There is a very nice tailor in the village.
I think I've passed by a time or two. I will put into practice our conversation.
Good.
And if things wind up succeeding in my studies, I'll share what I find with with you. You seem a good sort.
And he gives you another nod, and he says, "Well, of course. Good luck with that. In any case."
Hey, if I'm lucky, you'll never have to treat another patient.
Wouldn't that be the dream?
Hey, Well, I've taken enough of your time. Leave you to what you're puzzling with over there. Seems a
Medicine.
serious case.
Yes.
Hey, well, I wish you the best. Um, and he'll collect his things again and duck out.
And I think that's a good place to end off. It is a bright and sunny day, a spring day in Yoikuzen village. There are children running around. There are birds chirping, and the smell of earthly smells coming in. Um,
Mhm.
and that's where we're gonna leave off.
Yeah. Woo!
Thank you so much to our listening audience, both now and in the future. We are going to bid you all a good time zone. Bye.
Bye.